and hop on this grill so we can goddamn. Yes, sir.
We live.
Yes, sir. What's this show called? What are we calling this one?
This is your show. It's an
Okay,
elevated
so it's the
perspective.
elevated perspective. Cool.
This is
Heck yeah.
Elevated Network.
I had to move him dogs. He was going nuts over her because she was in heat.
Give me a second. I'm putting this car on the lift. It's loud as shit.
What you got planned for the day with her on the yard? Moving stuff around.
Yeah, I'm gonna move a few around and work a couple again.
Wow.
I'm hoping where I moved everybody and make them hush.
I just received a text message that just made me laugh and smile on the inside. Oh my God. Hold on. I gotta send this to you, Welch.
But I thought you got some explicit pictures or something. I didn't know what the fuck you about to say.
Man, I'm finna. Man, how can I send this to you the quick?
Actually, hold on. Let me get my. I was just jumping on my tablet. Yo, go get my tablet right quick.
So I'm gonna get Welsh to talk a little bit more about the colors meaning stuff because that's what I was talking about yesterday.
Hold on, I'm trying to share this video. Okay, Vinny in here. Okay, hold on. Okay, so I'm trying to share this video. Hey, Vinny, if you can, let me see. Hey, Vinny, if you can. All right, I'll do it in a second. Let me do this. But yeah, what you were saying, Elevated?
I'm gonna get you to talk about how you said colors. A lot of people think colors don't mean nothing as far as blood. Chime in on that a
Yeah.
little more.
Well, the people say that the colors don't matter, and well, I mean it don't as far as performance, but identifying certain dogs it does because the first thing you always hear is, well, they wasn't breeding game dogs for colors. That's a lie. That's a goddamn lie. Because if you go read some of them old magazines, and if you look at some of these, for instance, per easy example, look at the Sorrel dogs. Everybody dogs don't come out with those patterns, and look at the dogs behind them. Now,
Right.
now, when you let's say you get a dog from Tom and it come out black and tan, or I forgot that other color, little sandish color. No dogs on Tom Yard throw those colors except the Spike dogs. None of them. So when people say colors don't matter, I just see it as ignorance. That it's either they uneducated about it or they just choose to ignore it. Because again, Grand Champion Hank, if you look at Macho Bane, um, and you pull up a picture of Grand Champion Hank, you will see he has the exact same body coat and facial marks as Grand Champion Hank in the same exact place. So, with you not having in Supreme, that go back to you having dogs with no papers. Again, if you're able to if you're able to find pictures of your dog family tree, damn, that shit snapped off. Fuck. If you're able to find pictures of your dog family tree, you'd be surprised of what you will actually find. Just like they say Hollingsworth ain't like what they say, he ain't like black dogs or some shit. You know, so motherfucker ain't want burrito black dogs. Certain dog men didn't want no buckskin dogs. There was a lot in elevated. There was a lot of white game dogs back in the day. As you
Hmm.
see moving forward today, it's not that many anymore.
Yep.
So when
That's why
people
I
say
cherish my blood because I still get them.
exactly, so when people say all that shit don't matter or it don't mean nothing, it actually does.
To people
Especially
that's
for the
been in it long
people trying
enough
to
to
hang
see it.
papers and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they be trying to hang the shit out them motherfuckers.
You wondering why you wonder like okay, for instance with Macho Bane's sister Black Beauty, she came out black and tan, and they like, where the fuck that come from? That can't be off of. If you read the pig on Macho Boo's side, you will see where the black and tan came from. But again, a lot of people don't know how to read pigs, so that's another problem. So but yeah, man, all with the color code. But the only reason why I brought up the color code elevated is to help people understand that your dogs are not only pulling from the first four generations. Yes, that genetically on paper. Uh, well, no, let me backtrack. Genetically on a pedigree paper, yes, that is the closest genetic. But on a DNA paper, it might say something else.
Yep.
So again, like with my partner Outlaw Texas Kennels, he got some Mayday in his shit. But if you look at his pedigree paper compared to his DNA paper, he has more Mayday on the DNA paper percentage than it does on the pedigree paper.
Yep.
So again, that's another thing about the breeding people don't touch on and don't understand. So
And
going
do you
back to
think
the,
that's because the math on Ted's Online and stuff like that ain't correct?
it's correct sometimes, but it's not. It's the numbers get shaky after the fourth generation on Pairs Online because I've seen even with my own dogs, I've seen certain percentages on Pairs Online that does match up all the way up maybe to the sixth generation, but after that, when you pull up the DNA paperwork, the percentages kind of change. Like one guy had his Mayday percentage was like 32, 34 on the regular paper, but his DNA paperwork said he had roughly 47% of Mayday in the dogs he had on the ground.
Hmm.
So now, Elevated, think about that. If you only breeding off the paper wise, you don't know that you got more Mayday than you actually think you have inside
Yep.
of those dogs. So the whole science behind the breeding thing and how breeding is a science, that's true to the depending on it. No, it's true. It's not if, but
Yeah.
depending on the person that's doing the breeding, I'm gonna say.
It's an artistic science.
Yeah, basically. I mean,
If you can
it's
put art
it's
into a science form, that's what breeding is.
yeah, and as we see again, it's a lot of people doing a lot of breedings, but we ain't seen nothing in the last 5 years. So I mean, it's you know, at the end of the day, everybody got an opinion, but we cannot argue with facts, and we got to stop that in the pit bull community. We got to stop arguing with facts.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people changing the narrative, changing the rules to fit their narrative.
Yeah, and that's my biggest issue, because most of the people that want to change the rules to fit the narrative don't really have nothing to show. So
Yeah,
so
they're on their first dogs they bought.
so
This because this, like, like in Throwback did Kaiser to Harley, right? And Throwback said, man, he really threw himself hardcore, Kaiser did. And I'm like, nah. I said, that's not an accurate way to check and see if he's like produces himself. I said, you bred him to stuff that he's already really related to, So we got
Exactly.
deep into that topic. Like, a lot of the traits that are coming out in that breeding was the Thor stuff, the Thor Dixie stuff, my heavy termite dog. Like it, yes, that trait displayed in Kaiser too, but Kaiser ain't the reason that it thrown into them offspring. You know what I mean?
But see, everybody don't understand that, and that's why a lot of people can't get past the first generation with the same results.
Like a lot of like, it makes me more proud to see the ancestors than it does the dogs they're straight off of, because that means I'm lining it up right to me. Seeing
Yeah.
ancestors pop back out.
Well, the main
Like-
problem, well, yeah, because most people don't want to see certain names disappear out of the page.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
like-
mean,
So I bred Mason to Medusa and took Rogue, which is I thought was his most like him daughter, right? And I bred him back to her, and I produced Judge and Levi. You know, they are like him. There's a couple that was born dead that because she's so little, like not age wise, she's just a little dog. She's 28 pounds, but so there was quite a few that looked just like him. But then also I got like Cash and Major and Havoc. And Havoc is like, it's like Panic reincarnated. I'll say that a bunch of times. He's solid white with only black ears. Like just his ears are black. And that's exactly how Panic was. And when I seen that, I was like, that's so cool. And that's why he's named Havoc, is because of Panic.
okay. So the dogs, question. So the dogs, what was the dogs you had at the last pig picking, if you remember?
I brought Jarvis and I'm trying to think who Daniel brought. I think I brought Judge and Mason and but sorry. I can tell you which ones I brought exactly. 1 second.
What's Supreme?
Yes, sir, I'm still here. I was getting these lamb shoulders ready.
Hey, you got my number? You sent it? What you were talking about?
I sent it to your messenger. You know what? I think you did give me your number. I just ain't never used it.
All right, hold on. I'm
I
about to put it in the back chat for you. Said simple. Hold on, I got you.
We brought Mason and Jarvis and Judge and Wrangler. We brought all dogs that like displayed Mason's traits really good.
Okay.
I brought the ones that spoke for the most.
And what's the youngest dog you have right now that's on the ground?
Mason and Dirty Girl are a little over a year, and then I got a pup from a guy. He's only like 13 weeks old, and then I got another pup from a guy that's only like 4 months old. But I didn't produce them two.
Let me see, Mason. I want to look at some.
Yeah, you can type in Freemasons Mason APBT and it'll pop up. Because, see, like, when I named these dogs, I didn't want to call them the Mason dogs, you know what I mean? Because of Mason's Hog and Clyde Mason. So that's why I come up with the Freemason thing, you know, just to, that way they could be, because so many people when I started out would ask me, oh, are they off of the Mason's Hog stuff? I'm like, nah.
Okay. I just got what you sent me, Supreme. What the fuck?
Man.
And you said it was Mason to who?
Dirty Girl.
Dirty girl.
Yeah, that's so I bred Mason to a bitch off of Brown's Kennels Black Knight Tequila.
Oh,
I had acquired a female for an outcross.
Why it ain't showing on this one? Freemasons, Roses, Cadillac. No, that's...
Yeah, she passed away at Pymitra.
Line them up.
The Mason hers basically like super heavy carver. Really, that's why I did it. And I mean, it showed through them. Like you could tell by looking at them pups. Some of them, like they look like Jake looks like a boomerang dog, which Mason's great uncle or something like that looked just like him. His name was Hippie. My Nanny Gail had him.
Okay.
So I've even seen some of that like pop out too. But like, I don't take credit for some of that because I don't know if it's like also somebody in Dirty Girl's ancestor. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely want to give Brown his props on that because she's a good dog and she's a good mama and she produced like a motherfucker. I love them little dogs.
And that's why I tell people it's so important to get to know the family of dogs and know who is who, what the brother, which brother produced what sister produced that. And you know, when you do it like that, it takes out a lot of blind breeding and guesswork, you know, when you actually know these things instead of trying to breed off the next man hype of what you heard from X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
Be a lot of that going on.
If Dirty Girl didn't throw
Oh,
such
my.
good at dogs and stuff, I wouldn't even try to stretch it on longer. But they are really good dogs.
Yeah.
They're probably super trainable. Like, that's one thing I can say about them. I could get them to do about anything.
So since you took over, how many different programs you been working on?
Since I took over from my parents.
I mean, yeah. Like,
So I got my Mason and Medusa stuff. Like that's one main program, you know what I mean? Mason, Medusa, and Carson. Because Carson is related to Mason and Medusa. So I have that little factor. And then I outcrossed him to Dirty Girl. I was going to outcross Mason to Rose too, but she passed away. And see, they carried like factors through the Hickson stuff.
the hick,
Like,
yeah.
it's on the top of Dirty Girl and it's on the top of Rose too. And then so my termite stuff has a little bit of the Midnight Cowboy in it. So I had Cadillac Rose and it was the Hickson stuff on top of the chemo stuff, which is Midnight Cowboy. And then so like basically them two bitches had like factors to Mason, even though they weren't nothing related to him. You know what I mean? That's why I was gonna do it. And
Yeah, that kind of
but then
road boy, she bred like a motherfucker.
she was bad, dude. She was bad. That was an awesome dog. And her and her brother Capo, man, they are for real. But I also have Mason to Sissy stuff too. And Mason to Sissy is Sissy's a staff. Like I did
Okay.
that for myself too. So and when I first done it, I only got 2 puppies. So like I was like, man, and then mine passed away when I had the flood like 3-4 years ago. Probably about 4 years ago now. So
Okay.
I redone it. And I told everybody on Facebook, they ain't gonna be none available, you know what I mean? She had 8.
What's look right? What's up with that the rough and tough to fancy?
I just checked. I was just looking at what that did. Rough and tough would be Mason to Rose, so I didn't get to do that. I was looking at that to see what the factors was.
Cause I'm
You know,
looking. Let me
if I got a
see.
mail off of that and read it back to Fancy, what would it have showed me? I didn't know that was still on there.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
So the most recent breeding I have coming is Judge to Vixen, and that's like inbred son of Mason to his aunt.
Most of it. Could we can't pull that up on the main screen, can we? Let me see.
I don't know. Maybe one of them could for us.
Man, I don't know how to work none of that. I
Yeah,
ain't gonna lie
I
to
think
you.
it had to be on Big Air Dre then, but
Let's do something.
Your elevator, you say you mixed in some staff, American
Yeah.
Staffordshire Terrier, right?
yeah,
You know
yeah,
they got.
not Staffy Bull.
Yeah, I was gonna
Hey,
say, you know they got strains of that Staffordshire Bull Terrier that's still like game. You know, like I think it's the Irish strain.
Yeah.
And I
Who
was
that
just,
speaking solo?
yeah, that's still just solo. And
Man, that solo, that shit. All right, we just had this discussion last night. So, what a lot of people don't understand. I don't know who spoke on this. Maybe it was Schoolboy or somebody, but if you really pay attention to some of these pedigrees, that's why I keep telling people they need to really study these red boy dogs. If you really pay attention to these pedigrees, you will see the game bred staff in back of some of y'all pedigrees.
Yeah, Amstaffs descend from American Pit Bull Terriers. It's just the AKC didn't like the name Pit Bull, so they
exactly.
But what I was gonna say was, we know that historically people have been, putting in some of that Amstaff blood into their stock.
They still doing it.
Yeah, they still doing it. But I'm saying, what if somebody imported some good Irish, Staffordshire Bull Terrier blood, and then mix that into the American Pit Bull Terrier blood? I wonder how.
Well, they're doing it, and I'm not. I talk to you on the back street, but they're doing it because I don't know if Elevated picked up on it, but in the area me and Elevated, in a lot of game bred dog men have been buying those bull terriers and crossing it. It's a few dog men right now that lost about 6 dogs because of the bull terrier.
Yeah.
And they added it to their APBT program now.
I've had 3 bull terriers.
They said Walter Komoskinski, he added English bull terrier to his stock, and you can kind of see it if you look at the old pictures. And he was busting heads with that bull terrier mixed in with his stock.
Well, even if you look at the Heinzel dogs, anybody that got that shit up close, like that's in Macho Boo also. If you really pay attention to those dogs, that's what it is. That's what it. I mean, yeah, you change the name, but you can't change the blood. That's what it is.
Now I got
especially
a strain
when you inbreeding on it.
I got a strain that they kind of look like Staffordshire Bull Terriers, but they're American Pit Bull Terriers. It's the Raging Cajun. They got that it's just a look to them that kind of look like a staff. Like, even when sometimes I look at my female, I'll be like, you look like a Staffordshire Bull Terrier. It's just kind of interesting.
I mean, some of them be pulling from back there, bro. Because at the end of the day, we gotta remind ourselves the only reason why we calling them a different name is because of the registries. We always got to keep that in the back of our mind. Now, yes, moving forward, they started to breed for more slimmer dogs. Yes, because we know the staff, they technically built better as far as bone structure. We know this. So as time went on, you notice that I would say from the 70-ish, they started to inbreed heavier, which made the dog smaller. But when you understand the genetics, if you breed, okay, you say you got the Wakama dog, right? Okay. If you breed your Wakama dog to a game bred Amstaff, there's a reason why those dogs become blockier again. It's because you're washing the blood with the original ancestors. So it brings the dog back to its original form. But as you inbreed on that, if you was to inbreed on it, it would get back like the APBT. But if you go another route with it, it would keep the dogs, the dog bone body structure looking a certain way. Because again, people, without the registries and without all the inbreeding, you still got a game staff at the end of the day.
American Staffordshire Terrier and Staffordshire Bull Terrier all descend from the same dogs.
Which head
well, if you do a genetic test, you will see how closely them dogs are still related for the people who try to separate them.
Yep. Which head was you wanting to see? Was it Judge and Vixen or Mason?
Yeah, the judge pig.
Okay, it's that ped you made, Dre. Judge to Vixen. There you go. That's Mason's ped.
To Vixen. Okay.
Go Go to his
See that
offspring,
that that
Brandon.
you could use. See you could use that as a clean outcross with some of this shit.
Well, that's my main dog.
That's
That's Mason. So that's why I bred him to so much stuff. That's why I used him with my Medusa dog.
okay.
See, the everybody wants to talk about emotionally attached to something. The reason I'm attached to that dog is the Roscoe dog right there. That was my mom's dog. Rusty and Jazz was my nanny's dog.
Okay.
So like I seen most of those dogs right there in the bottom of the. And then I own the Ace dog up there, his daddy. And I had to give him to a dude when we moved.
That means
So
a lot
what?
when you personally say you knew the ancestors in the pedigree, right? Because at one
When
point,
he pulled
man,
up Judge to Vixen, I knew all of them.
yeah, at one point I was gonna pay $1,500 or $2,000 for a dog from another state, from somebody I ain't even know, that was just like a reputable, breed or whatever. And I started thinking like, why am I finna send all this money to get this dog I don't know nothing about, when I can just go to somebody that I can look at the pedigree and be like, I seen that dog, I know that dog, I know that dog. And I decided to go that route, man. I'm like, man, I'm finna just get hurt,
Calypso
Yeah.
said the separation has to do with the temperament. By the registry, it does, but if you're not, like, I've been given a couple staffs because they didn't fit that role. You know what I mean? They could have fell under the other class because they didn't, because of their temperament. They wouldn't have been able. I mean, like UKC shows, if your dog shows aggression, they'll kick you out of there. They'll take your.
But elevated, ain't that funny? Ain't that funny? Elevated is by the temperaments, it's not by the name or the color. So, I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people don't know this.
I
If
read.
if you do a breeding and you get 3 aggressive out of 5, and let's say you wait 15 months and the other ones don't show no aggression, technically they label those as staffs.
Yeah.
White
There was
chocolate. What we saying is they descend from the same dogs. The original Amstaffs were American Pit Bull Terriers. The Amstaff breed standard was drawn up using Colby's Primo, who is an American Pit Bull Terrier. It's just the AKC didn't want nothing to do with no dog fighting, and that Pit Bull name with the pit, to them it was a negative connotation. So all they did was just change the name. Now they're not the same dogs because they've been bred for confirmation shows for so long that they kind of deviated into their own path. But I read a story, or I heard a story back in maybe the 70s, where it was a lady who was breeding AKC Amstaffs, and when she would get one that was super hot and aggressive, she would, you know what I'm saying, get that one to the dog man, because she breeding for AKC standards. She get a throwback aggressive Amstaff. She don't want that for her stock. So she called her dog man people up. They come get that one, and they do that what they do with that one, and then she continue on her Amstaff path.
They're still doing that today.
They still do it though. That's
that'll give them to people like that.
and that's the thing. That's the thing. A lot of people don't know that. That's why people think these game dog men ain't adding staff to their stock. You a goddamn lie. You a goddamn lie.
You see that thing on the screen right there?
That's Jarvis. That's Mason and Medusa.
I ain't really fond of colors or nothing like that, but growing up, my first dogs was Brindle. And it's just something about the damn Brindle dog.
I like them too.
I like the Brindle color too, man. And the best dog I ever seen years back was a Brindle dog. Best dog I ever seen was a Brindle dog.
Man.
Yeah, I love me a nice Brindle dog. Can I drop the link? Which link you talking about, Dre?
For the pet, I think.
Oh.
Oh, I don't care, but see if you can pull up Jarvis to Vixen.
Hold on. He
Or
said
Judge
some
to
dog
Vixen
man
for me.
will also use in the Amstaff a little just to hide the APB title as well. I mean, yeah, people still do that. I mean, because again, the Amstaff working community, they're not as hot as the APBT community.
Oh, yeah,
they
yeah,
not
yeah. You
they
can add
not looking
the
for glory on
APBT.
the internet. They're not looking for glory on the internet. That's why you're not hearing. They not out here knocking on
Cloud
these
chasers.
Staffordshire breeders' door.
Hmm.
You said the
It's all
staff
about the
community
title.
ain't clout chasing.
No, they not, because you could listen. You could look up on all the staff's websites, right? 1,500, 2,500, 3,500, 5,000. They not even working. But we got working APBT, and all these motherfuckers want dogs for $300.
Yep.
That's
That's
crazy.
it's we gotta revamp the game, man. This shit
And I
getting out of
see,
control.
I
Do
see
you
your,
think
I see
that's
your
because we're
urgency.
not many years from dogs being $300 back in the day? In the '90s, you could get game dogs for that.
And there's nothing wrong with that price, but
Yeah.
this goes back to the whole it's no money in game dogs, because like I tell these people, the other people in my group, why is it that these Staffordshire kennels are still selling their dogs all the way up to 5,000 and they not even hog hunting, but yet y'all complaining about $1,500?
Because we too busy at
Different
each other's motherfucking neck.
That's the
I mean,
problem.
that do
That's
some
like
spring, and also different kind of people, man. You got some people who just want to. When they picture the kind of dog they want this blocky headed, flashy colored, thick bone, ear crop. That's what they want. They don't necessarily want what
Yeah,
people
yeah,
in
yeah.
the community want. So they're willing to pay that $3,000 or $5,000 for this blocky head, big looking, Staffordshire or Bully or whatever it may be. And then them same people, you may show them one of the most top-notch bred, excellent American Pit Bull Terriers that me and you would be like, man, that dog look good. They'd be like, man, that dog look like a whippet or something. I don't like that. Man, that head ain't big. I got cousins like that. My cousins, they got bullies and they don't like my dogs like that. You know what I'm saying? And I don't like their dogs like that. But it's just different strokes for different folks, man. And unfortunately, to the general public, they want something that look more like a staff or a bully versus, a traditional game dog or a niggerino looking dog or something like that. They're not attracted to that.
Yep. I've had quite a few people ask me what's the best you can do me on a puppy, and like honestly, most of the time I say what's the best straight out. Like that's really, but then and like sometimes I would let people come to me and I'd hand them 100, 200 back just for the fact that they came to me. You know what I mean? But then if you go to ask me for deals, I might not do that. I might tell you a set price and not even hook you up.
Yeah, a lot of motherfuckers want to deal and didn't even spend no money.
I mean, like when I send you a pedigree and it's slapped full of my name and hard work, like it's almost disrespectful to ask for a discount or something. You know what I mean? Especially when I don't know you.
Well, people, that's the thing, Elevated. People, okay, so when somebody never put the blood, sweat, and tears in, they don't understand them prices. They'll go spend 2,000, 2,500 on some supposedly big name, and it's not even guaranteed that puppy gonna work. Then to come to somebody like you, and you got 4-5 generations with dedication and hard work, they gonna overlook that.
Yep.
So I mean, it's a whole lot of black and white pedigrees that'll eat some shit up that I know personally. So so it's just on the people you encounter, man. That's just basically what it is. Everybody got different levels of education when it comes truly to this working dog stock.
Well, tell me if I'm right or wrong, right? For a pedigree to be that full, the man that's trying to sell it to you has froze his hands off, has busted his knuckles, has not ate sometimes because he's feeding them dogs, like, you know what I mean? Like, he'll feed them first and then go eat. Like, the heartache you go through, you know what I mean? Like, in order to have a pedigree that full of just your hard work, imagine how much heartache you went through to get there.
Exactly.
That's where people need to give a little bit more credit to that.
But you see, the problem is rooted. I mean, the problem is Elevated that you. Again, we in the age of we're in the age of hype. There is more people are paying attention more to hype than actual skill these days. And that goes along with the dogs also because again, you have a lot of dogs with black and white pedigrees that are performance dogs. You have a lot of dogs with Christmas tree pedigrees that don't do nothing but bark at neighbors and eat shit. So again, it goes back to the education of the individual. And I think that's something that the APB community as a whole needs to step up on and educate the newer people coming up. Dedicate a show once a month to working dog education, because a lot of people uneducated when it comes to these things.
Yep. There's and like all these problems that we're seeing really are coming from the new guys that are trying to change the narrative, like we keep saying. A lot of these problems that people are having, that's where they're coming from. Like, you should do a lot of research before you go just buying dogs from people. That's where all the unsatisfactory customers come from. They think they're getting one thing, but then they don't get that because they didn't do the research.
Exactly.
And then they're mad at the guy that sold it to them.
And then you got the ones who buy it because of the name, and then they breed it back to the same shit, and then you don't hear from them no more. And then when you check on them next summer, they got a whole new set of dogs. I've seen it before. I see it all the time. I see it all, and that's why I jokingly say what I say about all of the people that was hyping up them dogs back in 2020 that are no longer here, and most of them people got new yards. But y'all went out and overlooked the person who was trying to give you something for $500. You went out and spent $2,000, and 5 years later, that program didn't even work for you because you out here chasing dreams instead of putting the work in yourself.
The real dream.
You can't get that far chasing somebody else's dream.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I always tell these guys, Tom don't need y'all doing the same breedings he can do himself. Y'all go do some other shit. Do something else. Make him look at y'all pigs. He don't want to keep seeing it. He own the dogs. He don't need to see your pedigree. It's I don't know, man. It's just I'm not gonna blame the internet for it. It's just the people. Too many of the wrong people have gotten access to these dogs. It's got to keep a small circle, man.
Yep, that can go. The wrong people can go for clout chasers. People not doing their husbandry properly. Like, there's tons of different things that can fall under the category of people not doing the correct thing.
Oh yeah.
My bloodline was almost ruined by a bunch of people that was just doing, they either fixed them and didn't want them to breed or all this dumb shit. So, like, that's
why you gotta be careful who you get dogs to, man. It's yeah, man.
Yep. And see, that was before I had my hand in on it. Like, my parents didn't, the internet wasn't a thing, that breeding, they didn't. My dad thought about it that way, but my mom didn't. So, like, a couple of people got her dogs that probably should have never even had them.
Yeah, I learned from them mistakes a long time ago, man. I'd rather send mine to a family member house and make sure they got food over there before I let it go to somebody else.
Or I would rather give it.
Elevated. That's the deep connection when you can look at this dog and be like, yeah, my mama had the granddaddy and my daddy had the grandma. That's deep. That's a deep connection, man.
Who said that? Who said that? Supreme or Solo? So listen, right, Solo. Listen. You hear what you just said, right? Imagine how many of these dogmen today that's spending money on all this hype, that's not putting no work in. In 20 years, they children cannot say the same thing.
Yep.
Think about that.
That's why I've not switched up nothing either. I bought dogs. I had heavy Caesar dogs. I had all kinds of dogs from different people. Colby dogs straight from a dude that got him from the Colbys that everybody knows. New Family Kennels. That he's straight up. That dog was awesome. I've had quite a bunch of dogs that ended up not making it into the gene pool because of other things that didn't happen. You know what I mean? That happened. But at the same time, even if them dogs would have been great, I would have never turned my back on this. That I would have given them to somebody and let them move further with it before I changed up my plan to fit that narrative. Honestly.
But yeah, man, this is, I don't know, man. Like I said, man, ain't nothing wrong with buying dogs, but if we pay attention to the history of the game, it's a whole lot of older dog men that wish they had a different mindset today. That wish they had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 generations of some stuff they can sit back and look at and say, my kids gonna have that and keep it going. My grandkids gonna have it. You know, I'm not passing down a bunch of dogs that I ain't put no work in. You know, so you know that's what I say with everybody. I want to see everybody's work. I look at pedigrees all day long. On my house walls, I got pedigrees. That's why you can't even see the paint on my walls in the house. That's how I know that's how I know these dogs so well, because I see it all the time. So, you know, it's why my thing is if you claim that you trying to create something nice, you want to leave something behind, you got to put the work in, man. You know, stop following the hype. Just because the dog don't got winners in the first 2 generations, that really don't mean nothing. Because these dogs came from black and white pedigrees. People seem to forget.
Well, and people needs to quit looking at the color on Peds Online. Some of these dogs have done shit that ain't going to be put on Peds Online.
Exactly.
There's some dogs on there that's black and white, but man, he ain't black and white. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, and Solo, what Walkama dog you talking about?
No, I was just saying that I got some Walkama in my stock, Little Country and Thunder. Well, they bred Little Country to a female, pure Walkama female, and then they bred Little Thunder or Thunder to a sister to the female that was. It was like it's champion Little Thunder to a sister, and then it's Country to another sister, and that's what made the dog that sired 2 of my dogs on my yard. So I got 2 half Walkama dogs, and I got 1/4 Walkama dog because I got a bitch off of that half Walkama dog. You know what I mean? So it knocked it down to 1/4 in her. But no, I don't have Walkama dogs, but I got Walkama in my dog.
I got you. Yeah, I don't have no full-blooded Walkama dogs. Just Bane, which is a 50-50 split of the Pit Island Walkama. But even with, I'm glad I just thought about that because somebody asked me that. So even with preserving certain blood, I'm gonna tell you a funny story. We wasn't even Bane. I'm gonna tell you. Okay, so my wife she wanted a dog, right? So the dogs I originally started with, a lot of y'all have never seen before. That's why I gotta add y'all to the other group. Because I have 12 generations of my own stuff. Coming down from the alligator boil shit and all that. And those dogs was a little too hot for her. So, but she was doing her homework and she was looking into some dogs. Samurai, not Samurai, Supreme. She the one who found Ready Red website. I've told people this before, but everybody don't know this story. But I told certain people know this story though. But so Bane was the last one left, right? So she was talking to him initially, but before she spent the money, of course, I had to see what was going on. So I was like, okay, cool. So I didn't pay no attention to it. So once his paperwork came, I made her submit it and do her little DNA thing. So I'm looking at him. So mind you, we had no intentions on using Bane. And this is why I say people need to pay attention to their own yard. We had no intentions on using Bane. That was her dog. One day, Bane got loose. The first time he got loose, because we got a lot of coy wolves and foxes and shit. The first time he got loose, he went on to a pack of goddamn red foxes, right? This was like 6 months old. So I was like, okay. So another 6 months passed. Them boys from Greenville came to visit, and we was doing some coy wolf hunting, and they had a 2-timer elevated that didn't make it back home.
But then little Bane did.
Bane came back home. That's when I started to look at him.
Okay.
Because mind you, I don't have no. If you pay attention to my stuff, I don't have no whole bunch of Red Boy Jocko dogs.
What is your blood based off of that you have 12 gens off of?
It's coming down from the Dirty Mary, some heavy alligator stuff, and a few others. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. And
yeah, I might have to get one of them and send you one of mine.
Yeah, I got some shit now. I'll send it to you on the back street. But so then after that, my wife had fucked up, and then Bane got into a little yard accident with another one. So that's when I actually started to look at him, and the rest is history. But anyway, so that's why people need to pay attention to their own yard. A lot of people focused on the next man yard and don't know that they got the key to their success already on their yard. Yep. So yeah, just take it with a grain of salt.
Shit, I was buying dogs, and the whole time my little brother's telling me, "You got the key to success right in front of you." Like he kept telling me that, bro. You got the key to success. And then I had a buddy named Quail too, and he told me the same thing like years before I bred Mason. And so like they're kind of the ones that like made me, hell, I'll breed him and see what he throws, and then I liked it, so I moved forward. Like when I first got started, I never intended on it being what it is today. You know, it just kind of did itself. You know, natural progression. And yeah, over in our area, we got a bunch of red foxes and coyotes, and the coy wolves, which is the northern red wolf bred to a coyote, ain't it?
Yep, but look, the biggest one we have on record that we got was 75 pounds that Bane got.
Woo-hoo. I need to come.
He still has the marks from it. It was 75. Oh, I thought that was that door. Yeah, but that bitch was 75 pounds when we hung it and put it on the scale.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so a lot of people they make the jokes about coy wolf hunting and all that, but I promise you, you come to these parts, you ain't gonna leave with no fucking smile on your face unless you got a good one.
Shit, I'd love to come do that. Hell yeah.
Yeah, they do it. They hunt every day where I'm at. You have to, because them motherfuckers is deep, you know, and
they're populating so fast.
They want you to. So when we was out that night, when old boy, I'll let you know on the back street, but when old boy 2-timer ain't make it back home. You know, it's like I tell people, you want to see how good that motherfucker is for real, put it up against something that got to fight to eat every day, then come back and tell me what you got.
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
See, people, I know how to call the bullshit elevated. I call the motherfucker on their shit real quick. There's a lot of woods out here.
You know, they do not want to get caught in them woods.
But that's something I'm trying to take public also. I'm still working on that to do the coy wolf tournaments, because like I say, they range well, as far as here, they range from 35, and like I said, the biggest one was 75 that we have on record.
So are you baying them up with bay dogs or?
Nope. Okay. Nope. Nah, you can't. Man, listen.
Bay dogs get ate up.
The hell nah. Now some of the we have used some of the younger ones that wasn't all the way on yet, but nah, most of the time it's by themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, we gonna have to definitely talk about that. I'll come down there and bring a couple. That would be awesome.
Yeah, cause we actually they going out tonight. I'm about to leave here in about an hour and go set up. But yeah, cause the last video I posted, they had did something and talking about the violence or something, and that's why I ain't really been posting them. So I guess I got to get a more gentle video to upload about the shit.
What are you
Maybe-
posting it on?
Maybe you shouldn't put those videos like to the public, because even though the foxes or wolves might be a species that's causing all kind of havoc in the community, and even though people might want them away, when these fur mamas see a bulldog, carrying him out and shit like that, it's gonna pull on their heartstrings and they're gonna complain. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, because we sat down and we examined all of the videos with dogs hunting like foxes and coyotes and shit, and our shit was pretty bloody. So I think I know why. Because if you look up all the rest of them, they really ain't that violent.
Yeah.
And I think that's what got me flagged those 4 times.
Them fur mommies be wanting to see you with the Sherlock Holmes jacket on and the musket.
You sitting up here eating a ham sandwich. Do you know that a pig had to die? You know what I'm saying, for you to eat that sandwich? But you complaining about this, but it's like,
well, that's because society
of a hog being slaughtered.
Society too soft.
Yeah. My daughter's 6 years old and knows where the meat comes from.
Well, I mean that's a big that's the problem with America right now. So I mean, most people got all these animal this or animal that, but motherfucker, you ain't go kill that chicken outside, motherfucker.
Yeah. I think that's where they have the problem with it. Actually dispatching one to use, you know what I mean? They have a problem with the dispatch process more than the fact that the animal died to eat it.
Yeah, and I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and I think I'm gonna make another channel just for like survival and homestead stuff to show.
You see that dog right there, Welsh?
Yeah.
That's Haywood. I'd love to put that motherfucker on a koi wolf. He's half staff.
Nah, that motherfucker look good, boy.
I'd love to put him on one.
But look though, saying half staff, don't he look like a red boy dog?
That's what I hear.
He look like a boomer dog. Look like old
But see that again, that goes back to what I said. If you really know these red boy dogs,
Yep.
that's a red boy. That's a red boy dog, Solo.
I was sitting at the pig picking and I saw a guy come out of the camper, a camper that was parked right there, and he come walking over and he walked up to us and he said, I had a dog that looked just like that dog right there back in the day. Had its ears cut and everything. And I was like, oh yeah? And he said, yep. And it kind of blew my mind because the man I was talking to was Bob Finley. You know what I mean? I was like, wow. So how was that dog that you had bred? I didn't ask him, but at the same time, I was like, wow, like it probably was a red boy dog.
I mean, but Elevator, listen to me. If you go back, hold on, let this door shut. This shit loud. If you go back to the early 2000s, if you go back to the 90s, go look at those red boy dogs and look at that. Look at Haywood and look at those red boys dogs. So that's why I say people really don't know these dogs the way some people don't know these dogs the way they think they know them.
Matter of fact, it's dogs.
That's a fucking red boy dog.
Yeah, it looked like Pit Island's Nikki and Pit Island's Envy.
It sure do.
They look like it can be Envy litter mate right there.
It sure do.
I have a littermate sister to him that's named Duchess, and they're identical. I mean, identical. They're born back to back. They ain't twins because they wasn't in the same sack, but they should have been. Most people will see her and think she's him. I'm like, nope. Like when I bred Mason to that stuff, I didn't get a single shade of anything that would was blue. I'll say that. And she threw blue dogs with another dog. She was bred to another male that's a local dog, and she threw blue dogs. He was blue. I'll give him that. I'll say that. But when I bred her to Mason, I didn't get nothing, a single shade of nothing blue. It was all that buckskin, black brindle, like those type of colors. I got them white with red patches over their eyes.
Look at that dog right there. See that white dog with them cow patches? Oh yeah, that's the Pit Island dog right there.
Okay. And for those that's looking at him probably turning their nose up, I'm gonna tell a story about Alvin the dog, who was I think a quarterstaff, and I think Earl Tudor said that was the gamest dog he ever seen in his life, and he was old when that happened. When that Alvin the dog show had happened, we talking about some old stuff here, year before I was even born. But yeah, Alvin the dog was a quarterstaff. Matter of fact, I think Tyrone, Bakari dog, champion Tyrone, I think he got some staff in him. Or either he got some siblings that was good and they was like half staff or something. So
walking down around was fucking them up with some staff too. Shit, with this shit.
It was a staff in my city back in the 90s named Baracus that had won a few shows.
Named after BA off the 18?
I guess that's what they named him. Big, pretty, like gold and white with the ears cropped, beautiful staff. But man, he was a bad dog back in the 90s. Yep. Pure American Staffordshire.
Well, like Sissy's been in 2 yard accidents and they've both went over the hour and a half mark because I wasn't home.
Shoo.
So that's why I bred Mason to her. I knew that she carried them traits. So when I bred him to her, I would get dogs just like the 1900s.
Oh damn! I wonder. Hold on. Samurai. I'm about to text you a picture to your phone. I'm gonna need you to put it up there. I want y'all to see something. Let me think. I'm watching this shit here. I got something to show y'all. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. Elevator. Let me send this to Samurai.
I bred Mason to another staff bitch, but it was more modern blood, and I just did not like the outcome, really. There's a couple of them that's real nice, but other than that, I just didn't. Overall, I did not like the outcome. It wasn't the same thing as Mason to Sissy. I can't explain it. Even though the peds were very similar, just a lot of years of breeding versus, but that was my test of breeding them to the modern day stuff, and I did not like it as much. I ain't gonna lie to anybody. If I could have a litter off a Sissy once a year, I would, just to get to handle the puppies and see them, because man, they're awesome. That's a good looking dog.
That's Alvin the dog. If you look at the bottom of his pedigree, he a quarter staff, a 2-time winner back in the day, and that I think that second one was one of them long, brutal. I think he lost an eye and.
Is he black and white?
Look like it, yeah, black and white.
Mason and Medusa threw a bitch named Mary Jane, and black and white looks just like that.
It look good too. My soul. Hemi James, what's happening to my brother? Skip Bill.
This is a dog that nobody's even got to see very much, just to be honest with you. But she's an awesome dog.
I'm finna show y'all how to properly grill some bone-in shoulder lamb in a minute. Go ahead, good brother.
You like lamb meat?
I ain't answering that question.
It's too gamey. I don't care for some of it that I've had. Just even the smell of it. I had got some lamb chops. I gave them to my dogs, man. I ain't even like the smell of it.
Huh.
The one spoiled is just that deep gamey smell and taste they got. I bet you can maybe soak it and take some of that out, but I gave them to the Bulldogs. They tore it up.
Oh yeah, I don't like that day after.
Next, pull that picture I sent you up on Messenger. That's Mary Jane. That's Haywood's littermate sister.
Dickie, what's happening, brother?
Yeah, there's a lot of good brothers in the chat, for real. I appreciate all y'all.
Yeah,
Oh,
RBG Lone Wolf in the chat. Go ahead, bro.
I was just gonna say I looked back in the staff portion of Alvin the Dog pedigree, and I could have sworn I seen something that looked like a blue staff back there.
Well, Dawn Divine had like the Misty Blue Dog and stuff, and I believe her bottom half was staff also, and she was blue as they come. I'm pretty sure they bred her back to Divine's Bruce. I ain't 100% sure, but I'm pretty positive they did.
Shit, as far as the blue dogs concerned, all that controversy stopped once you step in that box with that motherfucker. But shit.
Well, and like at that APDR show I went to, there was a blue ruffian dog there, man, and she was nice. Like, she was nice all the way around. She acted good, nice crop, you know, her teeth, everything, her structure. She was a nice dog. She was a ruffian dog. And some of the stuff that's in Sissy goes back to that ruffian stuff. Throwing Knuckles, she's heavy throwing Knuckles, and throwing Knuckles was just the old school staff. White and brindle. She's white and brindle.
Man, somebody told me a story one day. Matter of fact, that man that's in my profile picture that I'm holding that dog with, he just showed me old Carver dogs from back in the day that they had mixed some blue in with, and the motherfuckers was fucking monsters, bro.
Tell me that dog don't look like Stompanato, kind of. That dog we look
Man,
at.
bro. It do, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
From what I hear about Carver, he probably was the type that, I'm finna put some staff in here. I ain't gonna even tell him. You
Well, I
know
mean,
what I'm saying?
if
They
his-
going out there busting heads with that quarter or 50% staff and don't even know it.
So Welsh might can chime in on this, but so if his dogs were going too long and he wasn't wanting to sit there that long, he probably added the staff for that reason. Short order cooks. And that's what they're known for. Barnstorming, destructive, short order cooks. That's what they are. That's why, you know, a lot of people say, well, yard accidents don't tell you nothing. But yeah, sometimes they do, especially when you got security cameras.
Why? Because if you look at a staff's pedigree, go farther back, you're going to see a lot of Blackjack. Tudor's grand champion Blackjack.
Yep.
And his son, Blackjack Jr., was another monster. I think he won 8 or 9 or something like that. So you can get a throwback to them, you know?
Yep.
Get a throwback to Blackjack, you got a monster. Then you cross it with some game of APBT, and boom, you know?
You
The
embedded.
hybrid vigor. You got the hybrid vigor.
Now they ducking you.
See, I debated on breeding Haywood to his littermate sister Fearless and taking the best females off that and breeding back to the best males, Mason and termite stuff.
All right, bet. All right, so Dre. All right, hold on, shit.
We're talking to Dre like he's Jamie off of JRE. Hey, Dre. Yeah.
Yeah, what was that dog the Fishers had? Bad dog, man. A blue female. I forgot her name, but yeah,
Vicky
man.
Fisher and her dad.
Yeah, they had a blue
Okay.
female.
I
And
didn't know that.
speaking on the Carver,
It was running from her, man.
the whole thing with the Carver though, when people say they got heavy Carver dogs, that's an English Staffordshire Terrier.
Yeah.
To just so people know that. That's what
Yeah.
Carver dogs are. English Staffordshire Terriers. Just so for the people who don't really know that.
Like heavily line bred ones.
All that
That's a good looking dog.
APBT they keep talking about is English Staffordshire Terriers is what's in Carver dogs.
I
Because
had a dog named Kilo that was the grandson of Jeep, and other than the black nose, they were identical. That dog.
now
was
y'all
named
see that
Kilo.
white dog?
Yep.
Ooh, Solo, what you think that is?
I don't know. I don't know. It looked like it could have some English Bull Terrier mixed in.
Is it
Some
American
Pit
Psycho
Bull
dog?
Terrier.
That's in them Red Boy dogs also.
Okay. So who is that dog right there?
People wonder where the all white with the brown cow patches come from.
Yeah.
It comes damn, I need my tablet so I can multitask. But it comes from a certain line of Staffordshire Terrier is the reason why, depending on how your actual what they call Red Boy dog is bred, you're going to get white dogs. You're going to get the white dogs with the brown cow patches. It all comes from a certain family of game staff.
And the game staff that's coming down from predominantly would be like Carver's. Is it Missy? What's her name? Or Miss Spike?
Missy got a lot of it in her too, but it's another bitch. Let me put this car down. Now you see that Hank dog. Now Samurai, the puppy I sent you, that was Macho Bane. If you could show that also, because that's Grand Champion Hank that y'all looking at now.
So he's like, so that pup has the black like coming back on the head and everything like that.
Got the black, got the white on the face and everything.
That's cool.
Everything.
I got a half Boyle's dog, and that litter, damn near all of them, you can see Hank in them. And one of his brothers got the whole black face, kind of like that.
My Boyle stuff, I think you see a lot of the Dirty Mary stuff in
Now you see Elevator. You see this black dog?
Uh-huh.
That's our shit right there.
Okay, let me go to YouTube.
That's
zoom in on that.
that's 12 generations of hard work right there.
Dylan asks, what APBT bloodlines do Amstaffs descend from? Kobe, Tudors. I mean,
well, it's a couple actually. You got the main foundation, but it's still a couple. Now Elevator. You see this dog on the screen now?
Yeah.
Tell me what y'all think that is. That's another one of our creations. It's not finished yet. It still got 3 more generations to test out. But she was the only one out of the litter that made the cut as far as her generation. Which I think that is. Nope.
Any Soros in there?
That's a red. I'm gonna tell you the only game dog that's in that dog right there is which I call Red Boy.
So it's mostly staff?
It's another breed in it, because a lot of people challenge me. They say you can't make another game dog, and I said, "Have your money when I'm done with this program."
Hell yeah, I agree.
Hey, Drake can hear y'all. So when y'all, asking to cue something up, he can cue it up for you. And one more thing, all those dogs that I just that just got brought up, those are all your dogs, Welsh?
Yes, sir.
Hey, do you want to enter those dogs into the weekly dog of the week? Since we already got the pictures.
I'll submit a picture. It ain't gonna be those. I'll submit one of those.
Okay, I appreciate it, man. But I also wanted to say one more thing, man. Like the pictures that you got, those are very clear, very crisp, very very clean. I just like to show them, to show people, get the best shot of your dog when you shoot. When you take that picture, don't just have no, grainy pictures and yeah. No.
So
that's
Dylan
all.
said they're called battle crosses. Some people do refer that to battle crosses, but there's also the term like breeding families of dogs that are proven together that are all pit bull terriers that can be considered a battle cross too. It's a 3-way cross of proven dogs. I've seen people also use that as a battle cross.
Yeah, that's true. That
goes along with people using the term to fit their narrative.
Exactly. But Elevated, that last dog you just seen, just remember that dog right there, Elevated. Just remember that
What do you
dog, man.
call
I'm
it? What's
telling
its
you.
name?
Well, it's a girl. Her name Lex, but
Okay.
we next week she going for hopefully within the next 2-3 weeks, she can go for her final test, and we'll be moving forward from that also. So like I said, man, we got a few programs, and it feel good when you could get something and then you could move forward with it and you can see the progress.
Yep.
You know,
You see that
not just
dog on the screen?
Yep. Oh, I like
That's
them.
that's Mary Jane. That's Haywood's littermate sister.
Oh, really?
Yep. That's Mason to the staff stuff. Look like a Carver dog to me.
Did you register those dogs Elevated, or you just don't care about that? You know, with those particular dogs.
So the Mason and Sissy stuff, I really don't care. They're good enough. I don't give a shit if I ever got a piece of paper for them or not. And
I mean,
I've sold
it's your
them.
dogs anyway.
Well, I've sold their littermate brother for $1,500. No papers, just on what it is. They seen Creature, seen the parents, and they paid for it.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
And I mean, if you want one of them, you're going to pay for it. I'm not going to give nobody one of them right there. And that ain't even my long hard work. But man, I'm telling you right now, they're the real deal. He said I'm like Dr. Dre in the studio.
He said, "What is that dog bred with?" Tell you what. See, I tell you the game dogs that's in it all day, but my other little sauce, I really ain't trying to tell nobody that. I really ain't trying to. I'll tell you what game dog bloodlines, but tell you what. If you could guess what else is in it, I send y'all a free order of Pitbull Max if y'all could guess.
You ain't put no Patterdale in there, did you? Or no Jack Russell or nothing like that, did you? No other gamey type terrier.
No.
Because I'm looking at the color, the tricolor, and I know that it pops up in the APBT, but it seemed like it only pop up in certain strains. You know, it seemed like it only pop up in like bulls, sorrels, and even some of the alligator dogs. Throw some weird colored dogs like what's that dog name? Hailstorm. He was like black with brindle patches, you know. And then I've seen
that's
some.
That's that old school blood though. That's that old school
talking
blood.
About like black with brindle tricolor spots, like where they're tricolor that's brindle at.
It's weird, bro. You have to look. I'm matter of fact, I'm finna pull him up, and I'm finna have him.
But if y'all notice, the later in the game, which is today, if you notice, the game dogs really got down to a color code pattern, as in from the 90s on back, you didn't know what color it was gonna come out.
Yep.
So again, when people say, you know, they wasn't breeding for colors or concentrating on certain things, yes, they was. Yes, the fuck they was. They clearly was. If you're looking at your backyard, they clearly was.
That's why when you go to some of these big breeders' yards, you see two colors.
Exactly.
And a lot of the time, them two colors are the root colors of those family of dogs.
But people don't pay attention to that. That's why today, now you see all this news coming out. Oh, this dog wasn't of this dog. This dog wasn't this dog. Well, if you take your time, if people stop living off of the hype and actually say, let me sit down and study this family. Every dog that come out of Macho Boo that's not a buckskin dog, I know where the fuck it came from, because I know the family of dogs. Because let's say I didn't, and then Macho Bang came out looking like Grand Champion Hank, and his sister is black and tan. I would have said, well, shit, somebody done hung papers on me. Or somebody hung papers in the ped. But because I've owned dogs behind Macho Boo, that are in other people's name, but we own them first. I know where the color is coming from, so I know which dogs they actually pulling from. You cannot. Let me put it as simple as possible. You cannot pull a coat color that's not in your gene pool.
Yeah. You
Let
can
me say
hang
that again.
papers, but you can't hang genetics.
Let me say that again. Well, fuck it. You cannot hang genetics. You can only hang papers. So if my dog is pulling black and tan is all the way in the 12th generation, that tells you all of the genetics that probably skipped in the genetics that jumped to the front. Because again, you cannot produce something that's not in your pedigree.
And that's why
So-
we don't allow Merle dogs in the APBT, period. Because in the history of the American Pit Bull Terrier, never has there been a Merle. So how could a Merle dog pop up in any way, shape, form, or fashion without you putting something else in there? That's period.
So
There's no way. Now let's say right now, right? Look at this dog right here. It's black with brindle points. I ain't never seen a pit bull a day in my life that looked like that, but we can kind of see where it may come from. Look at Parkson; he like chocolate. You know what I'm saying? And you go back and you looking at, other dogs. You got Rufus in there. I believe he was black, and then you got some brindles in there, and it just made this weird looking dog.
Yep.
But it wasn't Merle. It ain't gonna be black with Merle points. That ain't in the pit bull gene, so it can't pop up.
And I know we're gonna have to cook on this again probably for another 2 days because no, for real, we're elevated because people that's in my private group know this situation happened. I had brought up because we break down a lot of pets, and I was showing people about Patrick's Red Baby and some of those dogs and some of the dogs surrounding that dog. And people was like, nah, ain't no staff in there, yada yada yada. Fast forward, 2 other channels came and talked about the same thing. So this conversation is going to spread like wildfire.
Yep. Well,
But the thing
everybody's
is-
asking where the tricolor comes from.
Well,
where does that
well,
come from? It comes from staffs. It's a staff
if
color.
again, you cannot produce something that's not in your fucking pedigree.
That's from pit bulls, bro. That tricolor comes from pit bulls. Because
It comes
Man of
from
War.
staff.
Look up Curry's Man of War. You know what I mean? He was black
Yes.
and tan. So again, the
If you
staff
trace back
descends
his
from the
genes,
pit bull.
it's a staff.
So there's not going to be any Merle staffs. You will never find a Merle pure American Staffordshire Terrier because the American Staffordshire Terrier genetics comes from the American Pit Bull Terriers, and Merle is not in there anywhere.
So when they
You
came from
ain't gonna find
England,
a Merle Staffordshire Bull Terrier. You're not. Nothing in
when
that
they
family
came
is going to
from
throw a Merle.
England, they
Well, they
weren't-
trying to
weren't
do that
pit bull
now.
terriers.
They sneaking in Catahoula leopard dog.
That too.
And that's what
That
they
too.
doing. They ain't
Whenever
put- they ain't
these
gonna
dogs
put
were
them in.
imported from England and stuff, they weren't American Pit Bull Terriers. They were staffs.
But
I-
none of them were Merle. There was no
Yeah.
Merle in none of it.
The same way as the Grey Wolf, though, I can call Colossal right now, and they'll figure out what gene makes a Merle gene pop out, and they could put that in there without it ever being in their bred genetically.
Ain't no
They could
Merle
ju-
coming in no pit. If you got Merle in it, somebody done snuck in something. Even the ADBA, try to send in some Merle and see what Patty and them tell you. They're gonna disqualify
that's-
that whole letter.
That's what I'm saying, though. The only way that it could be brought in there is if somebody breaks it down like Colossal did. They can change the phenotype without ever having to breed anything in. See what I mean? They could put that Merle phenotype genetic into that Pit Bull Terrier before it's ever born, and they'll come out Merle. And they're 100% Pit Bull Terrier.
Man,
But
I ain't
that's
no,
genetic
I don't know
modification.
about that elevated. No, I don't know. We're gonna have to break
Well,
there
the-
because I'm on a
Grey-
standpoint.
The direwolf wouldn't
ADBA
exist.
ain't no Merle. Now I can understand black and tan, brindle, all of that, but man, if you got some Merle popping up, I don't want
Do
to
you
do
know
with
what
that.
Merle is?
Something that ain't cool. I know that.
Yeah, but it's as far as the color code, before I forget, if you go to the Tacoma staffs, if you go okay, fuck it. Let me just say it. A lot of these Eli dogs, a lot of these Eli dogs, really base from a certain foundation, male and female, um, staff dog. And then again, if you go back to the historical pictures and you actually look at the color markings, I'm not going to say the coat, I'm going to say markings. If you look at the placement of the markings, a lot of this shit is a dead giveaway. A lot of this shit is a dead giveaway if you look at the placement of the actual markings. So, but yeah, ain't no Merle though. We ain't. I don't
No,
want no goddamn blue, black, tiger spot. I mean leopard spot. Goddamn pip. Nah, I'm good on that. I'm good
no,
on
but
that.
we need to have we can hate it all we want to, but we still need to have an understanding, and I'll tell you why. Because say you buy a dog from somebody and they had crossed some Merle in there, there's telltale signs of that. And if you know what to look
What?
for, you could be like, shit, that had Merle in it. I don't want it. You know
Well,
what I mean?
that's why I
Even though the
say as
dog's
far as
standing
the
in
get.
front of you, don't look Merle.
Yeah, that's why I say it's a lot of information and it's more misinformation about this breed than it is actual good information.
I like that. A lot of shit ain't a secret, and it's still unknown.
So
That's the truth.
it's just as a like I say as the community itself, we just gotta make sure our shit don't get tainted with the
Yeah.
rest of the folks
That's
out
why I
here.
say we need to know about these genes, right? Because so say a dog has Merle genetics back in its day, and it'll have like white spots in its eye on its color of its eye and stuff. Like
Yep.
I know a friend that and she I don't talk to her anymore, but she bought a dog and it was not Merle. Like you could not tell. But when she bred her black tricolor to it, they threw Merle dogs. And she almost paid $4,000 for the sister. And I was like, no, don't do that. Just buy one of these right here. I asked her, do any of them have white spots in their eyes? She said, yeah, this one does. I said, well, buy that one then. And then 2 years later, she had Merle dogs off of it. Like,
Because Merle
I
dogs
knew
in
that.
their dog genetics. It's like two dark
That's
skinned
what I'm
people can make
saying.
a light skinned
Yeah.
child, but you can look at the parents of those dark skinned people that made that child, and one of them light skinned.
The
So it's
Yep.
reason
like
it
that,
bought
you know.
back out is because the black gene of the tricolor, like, even if you're looking at a tricolor, it's a black dog with a genetic mutation to make it the tricolor.
I mean that's basically what it is when you look at the chart.
Yeah.
But this another one. I'm not gonna say the camp's name, but by me telling this story, most people that know about it should be able to pick up on it. Now there was a rumor that certain people still believe to this day for some reason. That's why I'm trying to figure out what dogs they looking at. But they said that this dog was supposed to be really off of a red boy dog. But most people said no. This dog is an Eli dog. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I put my 2 cents in years ago. I said, well, that family of dogs has been bred to the dog that y'all claim it really was. Ain't nothing to talk about from those dogs. But then they went, all the years later, we bred it back to the dogs that people know is actually from, and you
Yep.
still getting champions. So when it come to hanging paper, fuck it. They said that the dog was off of a red boy dog. This dog never threw no white dog. It never threw a buckskin white patch dog. It never threw none of the red boy patterns. I'm gonna
Yep.
just say that it never threw none of the red boy patterns, even when you bred it to the shit.
Yep.
So again, we have to pay attention to detail because all these stories about these papers being hung, this person lying. Stop running out and getting these hyped up dogs. Study the family that you want. Find you a honest dog, man, and start your journey from there. Because they kept
You'll
saying,
have a
"Oh,
lot
this
more
dog."
fun doing it.
You will, because they kept saying, "Oh no, this dog is off of this dog. He hanging the papers." Well, and that's why I said, and a lot of people still mad at me till this day for it. I said, well, if he hung the papers on that dog, Why are none of y'all red boy dogs performing like the dog y'all claim is from? Why when you breed it back to this family, you getting all these winners? Something ain't
Some of
right.
this stuff be lies, man. Some of this stuff just be like lies. Some of the dogs that people saying that papers were hung on them weren't hung, and some of them were hung. And some stuff has been dispelled, and people still running with it. Just like Frisco, you still got people saying that Frisco was a cur, but then you got Vinny who pop up and like, hey man, I had the dog. Like we had that dog. He was not a cur. We looked at him. He was a great dog. Chinaman died. We looked at him as being a double-bred son of Chinaman's being too valuable to Matt, so we retired him for breeding. I mean, me hearing that from Vinny, I mean, to me that makes more sense than these people that have all these dogs and all these connections and all this money to base their line off a cur. I don't.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad because again, all these people say, "Oh, he was a cur." You know the first thing I always ask? To end that conversation. How many dogs do you have that produce more winners than Frisco?
Yep.
Once I ask that, the conversation either go left because they get real mad, or they just shut the fuck up.
Yep. So
because at the end of the day, he might have been a cur, but how many dogs do you have that produce more winners than he did?
I don't think he was a cur, man. I don't think so.
Oh, I mean, rather he was a cur or not, the motherfucker's producing.
Yep.
So you can't move forward if you ain't producing. A lot of people. I mean,
some people don't understand that you're further ahead to have a producing cur than you are a badass dog that can't produce nothing.
Well, like I said on the other show, look how many dog of the years over the years. Look how many champions and grand champions that don't have no families of dogs on the ground because they couldn't produce shit. They could not reproduce themselves or something better. So, imagine you got 5 grand champions on the yard and they can't produce shit.
Yep, but then their brothers are living in somebody's house eating tater chips that can produce bulldogs.
Case in point.
Yep. So I mean, Dylan E said it's kind of like albinism. A black person not supposed to be white, but because of albinism, their white genetic mutation are more rare, but they will pop up. So albinism's not a white genetic mutation, right?
Yeah, that's not.
Lack of pigment. It's a lack of pigment. Is all it is. I'm albino. I have had 2 eye surgeries at Duke Medical Center. Like I'm albino, and that's why I got into the understanding it. It is a genetic mutation, but they carry it. You know what I mean? In order for it to pop out, both parents have to carry the gene.
Every being, every mammal, every reptile, and I want to say even every amphibian has the capability of throwing an albino. We can see albino snakes. We can see albino
crocodiles.
We can see albino people. You can take 2 Africans from Africa, blacker than the midnight sky. You know what I mean? They can throw a blonde, blue-eyed, red-eyed albino. You know,
I've met black people that are albino, being at Duke Medical Center, and I mean, I went there twice a year when I was a kid and stuff. So I have a deeper understanding on that. That's why I don't hate on blue dogs, or none of these genetic mutations because I understand them. You know what I mean?
That whole blue dog situation. I always kept quiet about that because it's a black dog, bro. It's a black dog. I don't
genetically modified black dog.
I don't
through breeding.
It's quiet is kept elevated. People say they own the whole blue dog and the white dog. I'm gonna tell you this, elevated. It was a white female dog that had a couple people scared to come outside in Carolina 2 summers ago, and I'm gonna just leave it at that.
It was an all-white red boy dog, Maringu or something like that. Man, they said this dog had mouth like he was straight out.
Listen to me.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Hold on. Somebody asked. He said, any suggestions on who I can trust getting the old family red? Orange juice, depending on your area, I know some solid people in the DMV that deal with Old Family Reds very strictly. So
I would say OG Loco, man, just from what I see. I don't know him
well,
personally.
he messed with Loco too.
One of
He
his
messed with
dogs
Loco too.
personally or nothing, but just from seeing like in the dog world and kind of seeing people, talking about it and kind of looking at some of the peds and whatnot. If I wanted an Old Family red nosed dog, that's who I probably would go to.
Well, nah, him and Loco got some of his dogs too. The person I'm talking about. Yeah, they all in the same circle. The person I'm talking about. That's why I said depending on the area. So depending on if he gonna pay the shipping fee and all that, if he real serious. That's why I said depending on the area.
Now I would want to ask, why do you want an Old Family red nosed dog in particular? I'm just curious to know. Why
Yeah,
would
that's a
you
good
say that?
that's a good question.
Yeah,
That's a good question.
it is a good question. Uh, in our area, we had a little family of old family red nosed dogs back in the day that were like, they were top notch. And in our area, they were breeding like Bolio stuff to the old family red nose too, quite a bit.
Oh yeah. That heavy, that good working Bolio to some Old Family Red.
Mhm.
That's a recipe right there.
And then, like I say, I had the grandson of Jeep that was bred off of a dog that was heavily on Jeep to an old Hemphill Wilder dog. His name was Kilo, and he was bad. He was big too. He was like 70 pounds.
God
He was a
damn,
monster.
boy.
Big, solid white dog. He had double canines on the front, on top.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, he had 2 sets of canines. He was cool. She back on it? Yeah. Hell yeah.
Well, a lot of them are still on the bigger side because they never got inbred as tight within the same close family, so they was able to keep their size.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people don't. That's why I said I'm more of a 50-50 man, unless it's an emergency.
Mason
Because-
Rogue was an emergency. He's about 55 and she's about 28, and I bred him to her, and I got Judge. It's about 48, 50 pounds, somewhere in there, out of a 28-pound dog.
Even with the alligator family, if you really like, especially some of the good ones, if you really look at them, they're inbred and line bred, but they're not super inbred. That's why you still got dogs like Wyatt that's like fucking 60 pounds, and they'll still throw some small ones, but majority of them dogs is big as hell, but yeah.
So I'll tell you a weird thing. When I bred Mason to Dirty Girl, a lot of them dogs are small. They're in high 30s, low 40s, like very low, like all of them. And they were an outcross to Dirty Girl was an outcross bitch, and Mason was an outcross male. And I bred them, and I outcrossed him, and still got small dogs. So sometimes you'll get the small dogs just out of the genes and the dogs within the dog. And like Roscoe was huge. Like I guess it's Fearless's side that I'm seeing all the small dogs from in my stuff, because Fearless wasn't very big. That's Jake right there. That's one of them off of Mason, the Dirty Girl.
Yeah, we're going to do something. We're going to put something together.
Yeah, for sure.
I like that motherfucker right there.
I'd like to work with you, and I'd like to work with Gas and Go. Andre. That'd be if we did all that, that'd be power moves right there.
I think Gas, yeah, he got something related to my dogs now I think about it.
He does me too. He's got something related to Dirty Girl.
Hold on, who is this? See, they talking about the staffs in the group now. All right, yeah. All right, so but yeah, man, we definitely we're going to continue this on a deeper scale.
Yep. We can jump on tomorrow. We passed the hour and a half mark. All y'all boys can do your rounds.
Yeah, Sunday perfect. Hell yeah.
Cool. Yeah, because
Man, on the Bulldog talk, brother, eat up your whole day, man.
Somebody else who is somebody else going live today, or what we doing?
I don't know yet.
Let me see. Let
Big
me
A
go
might
to the
chime
back
in here
end.
in a second. But yep.
Let me take this shit out.
If not, I might go live like later today on my channel. We chop it up.
All right, well, shit. I'm about to. I gotta make a run. So if you jump on live, I just jump back on.
All right,
I'm about to
dude.
make a run right
I'll
quick.
send it to you. We friends on Facebook, so I'll send you the link.
All right, bet. I'll be on the back. I'll be on the in the comments. It's about
All
to
right,
get
dude.
loud. It's about to get loud here.
I just want to say right quick, man. I'm glad to see that. Seemed like a lot of the drama that was going on has kind of died down. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm seeing brothers that was beefing with each other, popping up in each other chats and giving each other shout outs. And I just like to see that, man, because there ain't no reason why we should be on here to the point to where it gets so hot that, you go into a dog show and you expecting there might be some beef there. We don't want it like that, man. We can agree to disagree, but at the end of the day, man, we all love this breed, and certain things are unacceptable. But certain stuff, man, we can work past, man. I'm seeing people kind of working past some of the little issues, so I'm glad to see that, and that's what made me kind of pop back out because I had kind of, dropped off because of that. So I just want to say that, man. I'm glad to see it. I'm gonna continue to plug in, and this solo, I'm out, man.
Yes, sir. You're welcome anytime, bro. Who else ain't done it? Is Supreme still in here? I can't see the screen.
Yeah, it's your boy Supreme on the grill, man. You know what it is,
Oh,
man.
you grilling?
Oh yeah, we on the grill, baby.
You at the cookout for real?
We at the cookout, baby.
Hell yeah.
That look good.
That looks good, dude. I'm
Yes,
coming to your
sir.
house.
Yeah, we pulling up at Supremes, man.
Oh yeah, hell
I
yeah.
ain't
You
gonna
know I
come
got
empty-handed
seats.
though. I
I
got
got
a
seats.
pack of chicken
I
or
got
something to
seats for
throw down.
everybody. We can kick it back here, man.
Hell yeah.
She over here tearing up this damn rope, man. Hey man, give me this rope,
So
little girl.
everybody, go tell Big Hill at the Big Hill fam happy birthday today. And this is Elevated Perspective. You can catch me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. The Show Dog Journal's coming out. I appreciate everybody that watched. Hey, I had one of them buildings and the flood destroyed it. Oh, that's my building. That's my video. I was about to say the flood destroyed it.
Y'all brothers take it easy, man. We'll chop it up.
Line 'em up.
Yes, sir.